This is the Howard Vortex with Dr. Drew and Ami Horowitz. This is the Howard Vortex with Dr. Drew and Ami Horowitz. Baba booey to you. Here comes Dr. Drew and Ami Horowitz. The Howard Vortex. Howard.
Ami, hey man, another Howard Vortex. Here we are.
Oh man, love it! I look forward to this day when we do these things. I don't know about you.
I know you get very excited about this.
I sit in a cave 24 hours in advance and just sit there and craft my questions.
But before we go on to our illustrious guest, what are you up to these days? You got anything coming on your YouTube channel or anything we should look for? Are you traveling? Are you traveling to Niger or something? You getting yourself in some sort of dangerous situation?
Nothing dangerous recently, although now I've got a couple of. Looks like I'm going to be going to Iraq later this year.
Oh, nothing dangerous. Good. I'm glad to know it's nothing dangerous.
That's a little bit of the dangerous side. I think I'm going to go to the UAE in Saudi Arabia at some point this year. So a little bit some interesting.
Go with a female, let her drive, or
yeah, exactly. I'm going to wear a wig. I'll wear a wig and attempt to drive in Saudi Arabia.
All right. And any thoughts or feedback on the pods we've aired so far? We have Eric's up. We have Jolie's up. Any feedback you have?
Getting a lot of feedback. And it's a pretty mixed bag. I mean, it's mostly positive in terms of what they think about what we did, but there's a real split in terms of how we handled High Pitch in particular.
Okay.
There seems to be the split is people who, either people thought we weren't rough enough on them, or people thought we were appropriately rough. I don't think anybody thought we were too rough with them.
Okay.
I think High Pitch elicits a very fascinating response.
Yeah.
And while they seem to love High Pitch, they also love to hate him. I think I saw a lot of that.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And one of the bits of feedback we got was from our guest today. You want to introduce our guest, Ami?
Yeah, I can't wait. This is a man, before I introduce his name, who's known to all, a man who has made his bones, if I'm not mistaken, trolling the great Eric the Midget, may he rest in peace, one of my favorite rack packers of all times. And he seems to have resurrected himself as a consigliere of High Pitch Erik. I'm not sure, a spokesperson. I don't know how you do it, but we are introducing the fascinating, interesting, and great, and I can't wait to say this name, Gonzo Sh. Gonzo, how are you, my friend?
Hi, Ami. Thank you for the introduction. That was very good. Technically, I'm Eric's spokesperson or representative.
I like that.
Yeah, he likes me to be referred to as his representative.
And by representative in terms of like business representative or representative to the public, like a PR agent? Representative in what sense?
Well, for the most part, Eric blocks a lot of people on Twitter, and then they want to get a hold of him. And then to elicit a response, they usually have to go through me. So that's kind of how it came about.
Surrogate, I think is a little bit better, right?
So
maybe it's surrogate. Yeah.
In fact, for us, in order to get the huge get of High Pitch to come onto our podcast, I in fact had to go through Gonzo.
Oh, interesting! I did not know that. And
Gonzo, that's right. Yeah, Ami reached out, and I had to convince Eric to do it and tell him that it was in his best interest to do it. So.
Well, my favorite, if you remember, Dr. Drew, his response initially was, I have a professional conflict.
Yeah.
Well, then it was he wanted Cocoa Puffs or Captain Crunch or something.
Yeah, once that came into play, the professional conflict seemed to go away.
Eric did want to let me know that he did not accept what was it, Lucky Charms. He did not accept.
Yes. No, he made that clear to me that he's too professional to get paid to do a broadcast.
I love
it. He said he would take Honey Nut Cheerios because they're much more healthy.
Now, first impressions though, Gonzo I've never met, and I've only heard Gonzo, sort of giving Eric a tough time. Eric, the actor, and Gonzo looks like a remarkably normal young man. That's a first impression.
Thank you, Doctor.
What do you do? Where are you? What do you do for a living? That sort of thing.
Well, I live in Sacramento, California, and I have a normal job for the most part. And I lead a pretty much normal life, but I just love the Howard Stern show. I've always been a huge fan, and that's why I started calling into the show and kind of trolling Eric the actor, because I love Eric the actor and I thought he was hilarious, and I love I just love. I don't know. I just love the show, and I love all the intricacies that are involved in the show, and just how weird and crazy it is.
And Gonzo is the only. I think it's the only person I can think of that is super fan and whackback adjacent. Right? That's really you go into both camps, which is interesting. And how did the name come about?
Well, I mean, I don't think that's necessarily true, Dr. Drew. I think, like, High Pitch Erik is a super fan of Howard Stern. I think if Eric wasn't a whackpacker, he would still be a fan of the show.
But he means whackpack adjacent, which means somebody associated with the whackpack, not a member of the whackpack.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. But then you could also say the same thing about Jolie as well.
Nah, Jolie has other monikers, but Wolfie maybe. Well, Wolfie sort of.
Wolfie is actually part of the Howard Stern show to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's get Gonzo. So let's talk about the names. How did the name come around?
Well, when I first called in the Stern show, I just called in as Gonzo because I didn't want to use my real name.
When was that?
2013.
And Gonzo in reference to like Gonzo porn or something? Where'd you come up with that name?
I don't know. I think I was just thinking of. I don't know. Just came off the top of my head.
Okay. All right.
And your real name is David Shitcock?
No, it's Guy. But
Guy Shitcock.
Guy Shitcock isn't as catchy as Gonzo Shitcock. So I called him as Gonzo, and then I called in a couple more times, and then I wanted to create a Twitter account because Eric the actor, I saw that because he was very homophobic early on.
Oh, okay.
I saw one day he was following a transsexual porn star, and I was like, oh my god, Eric's homophobic, and he probably doesn't even know that this.
Not knowing it was transsexual was my
guess. So then I thought it'd be funny if I called in and told Howard about it, and then Howard had me on, and it seemed to go over pretty well. And I called.
And Eric would have been referred to during those years as Eric the Midget, right?
No, I think he had just become Eric the actor. Okay. It was like right around the time where they called it. And I always called him.
I did and I still always call him Eric the Midget. He'll always be ETM to me. But Gonzo, so why Eric? Was it Eric the Midget? Was it because he lived in Sacramento next to you? Why was he your favorite whackpacker?
Did he live in Sacramento?
Why'd you end up trolling him?
I didn't know he lived in Sacramento. That's kind of
yeah. He lived like right pretty close to me. But
oh my goodness.
I'd never seen him, but I'd hear stories of people locally running into him.
Sightings.
Oh, it's so exciting!
Wait, in all those years in Sacramento, you never met him?
No, because like I'd only been part of the show for like a year before he passed away. So I'm sure eventually we probably would have met up. But
my God, has he been gone that long? How long has he been gone?
Yeah, he died in 2014, and I called in 2013. So it was just about a year after I started calling. But yeah. So yeah, no, Eric the actor, like he was just my favorite. I just love the Howard Stern show, and I love all facets of it. But by far my favorite part of the Stern show is the whackpackers. Like they fascinate me. I love them, and I love fucking with them. All of them. Like they're just. I don't know. They're just so fucking interesting and fun to me. Eric was always my favorite because he was so defiant, and he would like always challenge Howard Stern and just call him. He wouldn't even call him Howard. He'd call him Stern. Like, High Pitch Erik keeps FaceTiming me. Sorry.
Right now?
Yeah.
That's nice. What do you do for a living, Johns, or can you say?
I don't want to get like into the details of it, but I work I have like a fairly normal job. Like it's like in an office setting.
A computer type? You seem a little bit like a tech guy, no?
No, it's not tech, but it's like analytical research kind of.
Got it.
And you said how long you've been a fan for of Howard?
Since my mom took me to private parts when I was like 10.
Oh wow.
Like because Dr. Drew and I are both super fans by any measure, but we're both rather new. We started around the same time, around 2007. We kind of we didn't discover Howard, but we discovered the greatness of Howard.
Our fandom it blossomed.
Yeah, well, I think that was probably my favorite time. My favorite Howard Stern era was when he first went to satellite, around 2006, 2007. So.
Hey, and by the way, if Eric wants to FaceTime, you can hold him right up to your screen, and we'll happily all FaceTime together. Or if he wants,
do you want me to?
Well, Susan, you want him to FaceTime, or you want him to call on Skype? Zoom?
Well, we'd have to set that up.
All right, so FaceTime if he wants. Let's
just put the mic up to your phone and tell him we're talking.
Well, okay, if he wants. I mean, I want to talk to Gonzo really.
Let's do a little more Gonzo, and maybe we can pick up Eric in a little bit. it.
Right.
By the way,
he knows I'm being interviewed right now, and I think he's worried about.
Yeah.
I have no. It's
I got so many warnings from him. I got like a bullet point of things not to talk about.
So Eric called me and gave me a list of things we are not allowed to talk about.
He called me and said.
So we'll leave it at that for now.
Wait,
just curious.
Eric called you. Wait, hold a second. Eric High Pitch called you on the Gonzo interview or on his own interview?
On the Gonzo interview.
There were things we can't talk about.
Correct.
Can we not?
He called you on me too.
Yes.
And are you allowed to share? Are you allowed to share the list?
I'm not going to talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. I guess we can talk about it.
He's calling me right. Should I pick up? He's calling.
Yeah, pick up. Go ahead. And tell him we are aware of the list. Ask him if we can share the list, Gonzo.
Oh, he didn't. Okay, hold on. Let me call him right back.
It must be hard to be High Pitch Erik. To be that anxious about things you can't. All right.
Eric.
Hold up to my.
All right, well, I'm getting interviewed right now with Dr. Drew and Ami.
What?
I'm getting interviewed right now with Dr. Drew and Ami. Is there something that you want to say?
By the way, I got a note passed to me from my wife that says Eric wants to be patched in.
Oh,
he does.
You want to get patched in, Eric?
What?
You want to get patched into the show?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll work on it.
I'll have him work on it.
Okay, yeah. So why don't we, Susan? Why don't we try to get him in around 20 minutes?
I'm texting him.
10 or 15. He won't last 20. He'll explode in 20 minutes.
Eric never lets me have my own spotlight.
It sounds like what he does to Jolie. Does he text you a million times a day?
Well, here's the thing about Jolie is I don't know how she does it, but Eric will text her a million times.
That's what she said. Yeah.
But I noticed, like with Eric, I've gone on trips with Eric. I've visited Eric in New York. He's come to Sacramento. We've hung out in LA and just Pittsburgh and stuff. We've had these fun trips together. And every time, the day after he leaves, that's when he's the most vulnerable and he misses you the most.
Oh.
He'll call me 20 times the next day and just ask, "What are you doing?
That's sad.
Where are you? What's going on?"
But
then after a few days, he kind of gets back used to being alone.
And these are fans who are paying for his trips?
I don't know. Joey Boots paid for him to come out to LA and Sacramento. That was after Joey got a big settlement.
Oh, I remember.
Right.
And then the other times, Eric paid for it from what I know. But I don't know. Maybe he's a lawyer.
And so how would you characterize Eric and your relationship with Eric?
Eric is just it's weird because I grew up as a fan of the Howard Stern show, so I grew up just thinking Eric was hilarious, and then I finally got to actually meet him in person with Joey Boots because I co-hosted the Joey Boots podcast.
Right, I forgot about that
for a year. Or two.
Yes,
and Eric would be on there, so I knew Eric kind of through the show just as a character on the And we would talk, but we never really met. And then we met, and I don't know. Our relationship, I don't know. Eric is a really good friend of mine, and I like to stick up for him. But then also, you have to, you can't take Eric too seriously. So I like to, bust his balls.
All right. So you'll get.
At the end of the day, I do love Eric.
We will give you a chance to do both, to stand up and bust balls. But hang on. So
how did you?
I want to talk about Joey because Joey seemed like a great guy to me. Did you know he was a heroin addict? And is he as good of a guy as he seemed to have been? A sweet a guy?
I knew that Joey had drug issues in the past, but to me, he would always tell me that he was. I was more concerned when I heard that he died. I was more concerned because I knew that he was doing a ton of pills, like Oxycontins and stuff that. And then he was drinking a lot, and that is not a good. I was like, oh my god, it's and he wasn't. He was in his late 40s, so, and he was very overweight, and. So when I heard that
did anybody try to intervene with him? I mean, it seemed like everybody knew he was doing it. Would they try to get some kind of intervention going?
No, I think I was just more proud of him that he stopped doing hardcore drugs.
No. Gonzo, next time, call me next time that you're around. So anyway, you were right in your assessment that he was actually in more danger with the pills than even when he got to the needle.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So I don't know, but I mean, he was doing a lot of the THC things, well,
that's how he probably got back into it, got going again. All right, you wanted to ask Bonzo a question. You were asking something. I interrupted.
But he was a good guy.
Yeah.
So I guess how did you make the jump from trolling Eric the Midget to working with and palling around with High Pitch.
And we haven't heard where the name Shitcock came from yet. We heard Gonzo.
Oh yeah. So you go back to the name Shitcock. So after I was on the Howard Stern show, I decided to make, because I had my own actual Twitter account with my real name on it, and I was like, I can't be on Twitter with that name. So then I made Gonzo. Obviously, I couldn't be at Gonzo on Twitter, so then I just added Shitcock.
Of course, like as is the custom.
It just sounded catchy.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So then
it wasn't to aggravate Eric the actor anymore, though, like because it sounds a little homo, whatever.
No, because I think it was like there was like some bit where Howard would ask Eric, because he didn't want to be called Eric the Midget. He would say, "What do you want to be called?" And it would be like, "Eric the fuckface, Eric the shitcock." So I was just like, "Oh, so Gonzo Sh."
That's the entomology.
Perfect.
That's right.
Yeah, now it comes into focus very nicely.
And by the way, I have to say, to give you props, Gonzo, when you were on with Eric the Midget, you just got tonally. It was so perfect. You handled the way you express yourself, down to the words you used and the tone you had.
Yes, I agree.
Perfect to get
and the timing, everything.
Oh, it was absolutely perfect. Really, and it really was. Because, like I said, I'm a huge fan of Eric. I miss him greatly. And in those later years, when you were trolling him, you just did it perfectly, and it got his goat so much. It was so funny. So my hat's off to you on that.
Did anyone? I know his family was a little protective of him, Eric the actor. Did they ever get down on you for being a little too rough on him? Or for
not his family specifically, but a lot of fans would get upset with me, like saying like I was like, especially after he passed away, I got a lot of people saying like, "Oh, you killed him, like you push him to the brink." But I would always counter that with saying the things that I said to Eric. I don't think any of them were horrible. I said that he started wildfires and that he was in the Ferguson riots. It was nothing like. I mean, it's so ridiculous. Like I didn't call him like a midget or like a piece of shit or
no, but that was the great thing was if you'd say like he started a forest fire, he would go, "No, I did not start a forest fire. I was not behind that forest fire." He took it so seriously he couldn't take he didn't get the joke, which was incredible to me.
My favorite ever was somebody tweeted him and they said you were older than your parents, and then he was so angry about it. He was pissed that someone would assume that he's older than his parents.
So how did you make?
That's why I love Eric. Like he was the greatest. Yeah,
no, he was phenomenal. He's greatly missed, and like I said, maybe because I'm new school, to me, he will always be the greatest whackpacker of all time.
Yeah, no, most definitely for me. Eric the actor is definitely number one.
Although number two was a guy who I don't know if you guys know him. He didn't call in for much. It was a very small window of being a whackpacker. It was a guy named Derek from Texas. That guy, I enjoy. He was my second favorite whackpacker.
Yeah. He's
so how did you make that switch from trolling Eric the Midget to becoming an advisor, a spokesperson, a friend of High Pitch?
Well, once you're on the show, it's really fascinating. Like once you're on the show, once you're a regular caller, and I think all the regular callers to the Stern Show or the Whack Pack adjacents that are part of the Stern Show, once you're on, all the Whack Packers basically just kind of like they're available to you now. It's kind of like becoming Whack Pack famous. So I have like, Jeff the Drunk following me and High Pitch Erik and messaging me and all these people that I, just was huge fans of and like Medicated Pete and stuff. And so you get to like talk to them on Twitter on a regular basis. And then Eric kind of was the same thing. But the main way I got to know Eric was through Joey Boots' podcast, because Joey and I would do a podcast each week. And Eric obviously lived in his building, and then Eric would be on every week. And then that's kind of how Eric and I friendship formed.
How did you end up doing Joey Boots' podcast? How did that start?
I don't know. Joey, one day Joey tweeted me on Twitter and said that he liked me on the show. And then I was always a fan of Joey's. And then we just started direct messaging, and then he asked me to call his show.
Cool. And
he liked me, and we just got along, and we kind of vibed pretty good. And Joey had a lot of issues with everyone else that was on his show.
Oh, wow.
Oh shit, sorry. And then so then that's he just asked me to be on there full time. So.
And what was the attraction to with High Pitch? How did that particular relationship form? Again, to the point where you are an advisor to him,
ombudsman,
spokesperson.
Yeah, it's not boxed. I don't know. Like after Joey died, Eric took it really hard, and I kind of felt like a sense of, I don't know. I kind of felt like I had to do something for Eric because Eric didn't really have many people outside of Joey. Like Joey was his. I don't know. I just felt fucking horrible. Like when Joey died, I never thought in a million years that Joey would pass away before Eric. Yeah. And when Joey died, it was so sudden, and I just felt awful for Eric.
It was bad. It was really rough. And yet, though, that's kind of how Eric gets his hooks into people. You know, it's a legitimate.
Yeah, but even then, I still would have, I still was, palling around with Eric even without Joey. But I just felt more of a sense of like kind of like I had to be more into Eric's life, and I wanted to because Eric was I think Eric's handled it pretty well. I mean, that was like his best friend. That was like every single day. That was like his dad, his brother.
It's terrible. Oof.
So I'm actually pretty proud of Eric for how he's handled Joey's death, and he's doing a lot better than I thought he would.
My sense is that none of us publicly really saw what really went on with him as a result of his grief. Am I about right on that?
Eric?
Yeah.
How Eric handled Joey's grief?
In other words, he talked about it on the show, but I didn't get the feeling that was really how deep it was for him. He really was hurt, I think.
Yeah, it was just, he was very sad. Yeah. But, it took a lot of phone calls after Joey's death, for sure.
Well, what do we get wrong, Gonzo? What do you represent here to us that not on the list of things we can't talk about until Eric gets in here? We can address the list.
As Eric's representative, he's asked me that I tell you guys.
Okay.
I discussed this with him. The Ami, you brought up to Eric when he was doing his interview that Eric is panhandling money for people who don't block him on Twitter. Like he's kind of like forcing people to pay $5, $10. That was a joke that I made that up, and I thought it would be funny if we made some sort of system where Eric gets unblocked. But then people started paying, and then it became a thing, and it kind of unraveled. And then, so I just wanted to say, Eric did not ask for any donations or any handouts. That was my idea. I thought it'd be funny, but then.
But wait a second. When people started following him and he started blocking them, didn't people, not as a joke, people actually said, "How much will it cost to unblock me?"
Yes.
Okay, so it started out as a joke, but actually it became something.
It became something, but in his defense,
it started as a
idea. It was my idea.
Okay, fair.
And you got to admit, it was. Come on, that's pretty funny, right?
No, it's a brilliant idea.
How much money? And then certain people,
it's a real thing.
Certain people, I look at their Twitter account. If they were doctors, I'm like, okay, Eric, you got to charge him $20 for it. And if they were some shithead from Kansas, okay, just charge him $5. So that's. It was a joke. It was supposed to be funny, and I thought it was funny, but I didn't like how you guys kind of that's all. That's all I want.
Fair enough.
I understand the.
Hey, we're looking for the truth. I'm happy to hear the assess. What's really going on. That's good.
Yeah, and I don't like I always see all these people on Twitter because Eric, we know Eric. We all know Eric. Eric manipulates people, takes advantage of people and stuff sometimes, but. I think people go overboard on Twitter, and they really anything. Anytime Eric tries to say anything, they're just "Oh, you piece of shit, fucking scam artist." Yeah. I don't know. It's
listen. I
don't like. I feel like it's over. It's overboard.
Yeah, no, listen, obviously, you can't take what people say on Twitter seriously, particularly trolls. Yeah. But there is a lot of truth. The fact that Eric has taken advantage of people continuously because he can.
Yeah.
He can.
Yeah, but I just don't like because I can tell Ami you yourself and Dr. Drew you guys know it's for fun and it's a ruse. But some people are seriously upset with Eric. There was this one woman. She started an entire YouTube channel disparaging Eric and trying to she was filing police reports against Eric.
Oh, I heard about that. Yes.
Yeah, it was disgusting. I'm what kind of life do you have that you're gonna spin around? I mean,
Ami, we got to talk to her.
No, don't talk to her. She's dying. She's dying to talk to you guys.
One thing that jumps out at me about Eric, which I don't think I've come across any other whack packers who have this coterie of people around him. There seems to be a lot of people who want to get involved in High Pitch's life, right? Both women and men. and I obviously count yourself as one of them. There's Jolie. There's a whole bunch of other people. I won't name their names. But what is it that so many people seem to want to be invested in his life? What is going on there? Why is that happening?
Well, I mean, for myself and Jolie, Eric reached out to us both. Like we didn't, reach out to him and ask him to. But Eric I don't know. Eric is hilarious. He's infectious. He has that voice, and he's 400 pounds, and he sounds like Mickey Mouse. And like, who wouldn't want to hang out with a guy like that? I don't know. I don't know. He's just lovable. And
he's right. I think that's it. I think he uses that to get you in far enough that you start to feel responsible for him, right? And by word used, I don't mean that pejoratively. I mean that's just what he does. He is that way, and he is infectious. And then once you're in, you start to feel like and he does that. He picks his targets, right? Like Jolie is really.
Yeah, but he's just universally lovable, Dr. Drew.
Yeah, yes, no, but that my point is though. But he uses that to get you to the point where you actually start feeling responsible for him. That's how
Jolie and you truly. Yeah. And by the way, this is a good thing in terms of your personality.
Yeah,
and Jolie.
Yeah.
You guys really do feel a responsibility toward him. You've developed the affection you have for him is real. And you feel a real responsibility for him. I think it's very sweet on your part. It probably began as manipulative on Eric's part, but probably did turn.
Yeah, but that's not his fault. It's not his fault. He's that way.
No, it's the way he is.
It's not right. It's not a conscious thing. And then Jolie's part. Jolie also understands she has a responsibility that comes with that obligation because she's a professional who does that kind of work, and so she's really in deep. That's what we were talking with her about. Well, what else did we get wrong? What else we need to set straight as Eric's representative?
No, I think that was the main point, Dr. Drew. But just to go back to Eric, being us being really friendly and supportive of Eric, is there are times too where I get into huge fights with Eric because he's just an asshole. like last Sunday, I tweeted out something about Puerto Rico, and I said, Eric, whatever Eric pays for this thing, I'll donate to Puerto Rico. Just thinking it would be kind of, I don't know. I just mentioned that, and then Eric texts me like, "Fuck you, you scumbag, you piece of shit," like in all caps and exclamation points, and then we get into an argument. So he does. Sometimes he doesn't take jokes too seriously, and then we get into arguments. But we always kind of come to a resolve.
And what's with so much? What I also found is of this whole kind of group of people who associate themselves in Eric's life. There seems to be a lot of drama between those people.
Yeah.
Walk me through that. Why is there so much drama? Where's that drama coming from? What's the deal there?
Well, speaking of drama, I mean, do you mind if I read what Eric just texted me? Because I just
yes, please.
Okay, so Eric just texted me. I have.
Can you do it in his voice, please?
I have other lawyers besides Fanning. If you say anything about me, I'm not kidding. Don't you fucking dare.
Was that to you? Was that to you or to all of us?
That was to me. And he said the last thing he wrote was, "You say one bad thing about our friendship is over."
I'm sorry. It feels so.
Answer your fucking phone. So
no.
Going back to the emotional manipulation.
I think his phone is not in service because I can't get through to him.
Maybe change.
You know what? The number you had, he changed his number recently. Let me text you. I'm going to text you his new number.
I know I couldn't call him. I was trying to get your attention, but
yeah, you got to FaceTime his email address.
Okay,
FaceTime his email.
Give me his email address and I'll FaceTime.
His email is
put it on. I gave you my number. You can text it to me.
Can I DM it to you?
Twitter's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
So Gonzo, while you text that, I guess that's my case in point in terms of the emotional manipulation or non-emotional that Eric loves to do with people. Dr. Drew, did you recognize that as the case?
Yeah, no, he did. He said he was manipulative. That's what Gonzo opened with.
But that's kind of like what I like. But that's also like what I love about him. Like I giggle at night sometimes when I think about it. Like I'm like, I don't know. It's so hard.
It's so over the top.
It's so hard to be mad at him because he's Eric. And then I love sometimes I'll be out at a festivity. Like I was at a party a few weeks ago, and then I was at a barbecue. Eric called me. Like a Labor Day barbecue. Eric called me on FaceTime, and I picked up the phone, and then I gave a girl next to me the phone because Eric likes to talk to whoever's there. He's like, "Hi, oh my God, you're so fucking hot," and they just passed the phone around, and then he's like, "Oh my God, you're hot," and then they passed the phone to this heavyset woman, And she's like, "Oh, are you High Pitch Erik? I love you." And he's like, "No, I don't like you."
Oh, brutal.
But I don't know. I mean, that's fucked up.
It is weird. No, it is a weirdly lovable trait of his.
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny, like who else is like that?
Well, the other thing I really learned from talking to him is he is as smart as I thought he was. And so this whole imbecile, dull, whatever thing, I don't know what that is or how you pulled that one off.
Dr. Drew, that was a point. That was a talking point. I wasn't.
No. That was not a talking point. The talking point was Social Security.
That's what I got. All
right.
I didn't get.
Well,
the talking point was not his brain power.
I'm not going to get at his Social Security or anything else. I don't care. That's between him and whomever. But I'm complimenting him. He is smarter than he's supposed to be, and I knew.
All right, but don't compliment him too much, Dr. Drew.
No, I don't want to undermine his whatever.
You're gonna fuck up his.
No, I don't want to fuck that up. That's not my plan. But I just knew it. I just knew this guy is not dumb. This guy's not dumb. He's diabolical genius of some type. Actually,
I don't want to go on record as saying Erik is well below. Whatever.
Maybe in certain areas, maybe in certain aspects, but I don't know.
Yeah, so I don't know. But,
So, and going back to this drama, which I find endlessly fascinating. So, walk us through? Why is there drama? What's going on between all the people who are associating themselves with High Pitch?
So the drama with Erik and other people.
Where does it break down to drama usually?
There'll be like people that don't have a sense of humor that like just assume that like if just because they know of Erik from the Whack Pack and Howard Stern, he's going to be normal and he's going to be very sweet and gracious to them if they say anything nice about him. And then they get very offended, and then Erik blocks them and they're like really upset. And then Erik will send me text messages like, "Block this piece of shit," and he'll like screenshot the person's Twitter. And I like to just engage with them and just find out like why they're upset with Erik. And people legitimately do, like, they get very offended at Erik because Erik will just block them because he thinks that he has a lot of haters and a lot of trolls on the internet. And so if somebody says like, "Erik, you're doing good by losing weight," sometimes he'll just block them, because he thinks that they're being mean to him, which are not. So then sometimes I'll intervene and I'll say, "Erik," as Erik's representative, I'll say, "Erik, this person, Jim Shithead 64 didn't mean what he's a fan of yours." And then Erik will say, "Fuck him." And so I think it's just Erik just being cautious, and but he loves to fight too. That's another thing.
Oh, he likes it.
Yeah, sometimes people say like nice things about him, like, "Oh, you're losing weight. Can't wait to see you."
I'm gonna fucking kill you and your mother and your children.
Yeah, like somebody will say like, "Oh my God, Erik, you look good. I can't wait to see you in jeans now that you've lost weight." And then they'll be like, "Fuck you, bitch, you piece of shit. I'll be fucking die, bitch. I'm gonna stab you in the heart." So he likes to threaten to stab people.
Yeah, I noticed that. Stabbing the heart's a big one.
To be frank, it is the most effective way to kill somebody when you're stabbing them.
I imagine.
Yeah. In his defense.
Yeah.
Which goes back to his cognitive his cognitive abilities.
Yes.
Hey, I don't want just stepping off of Erik for 1 second. You said something, Gonzo, which I found really fascinating and slightly disturbing. You do not enjoy Howard's interviews?
When did I say that?
You said that on one of your podcasts, which I was listening to because I do my show prep.
Oh, good job.
Maybe
you said it was one. It was
no, I don't. I don't like when Howard interviews like Lady Gaga or when he interviews like
musicians,
like celebrities, in other words,
like Miley Cyrus. Yeah, like I don't. But I love when he interviews like Jeff the Vomit Guy, or like when he interviews like Louis C.K. or Norm Macdonald. I love those, but I don't like the celebrity interviews because, quite frankly, celebrities aren't interesting, and I don't think that I'm gonna. Even a lot of musicians too, I think, are pretty stupid. Like they don't have. Just because you can play music very well doesn't mean that you're an interesting person, and I don't want to hear an interview from them. So it's not that I dislike them. I stop listening to them when they're like super celeb. Like if it's like Gwyneth Paltrow, like I'm not going to listen to Gwyneth Paltrow for an hour. That's all.
You see, it's funny because most of these people that you mention are people I don't care about as well. But I find that Howard's genius is he is able to make any of these people interesting. I mean, he had like
I agree.
New Edition, or I don't know who, the 7 Days of Summer or something. I don't know who these people are. I didn't care. I found it fascinating because he knows he talks about things that I care about: the money, the fame, sex, the women, the temptations. even if you're not interesting, these are all things you have in common. I find it fascinating.
Right. I agree to a certain extent. I mean, like I'll give Dr. Drew a compliment. Dr. Drew, whenever Dr. Drew's in, I'll definitely listen to Dr. Drew interview for an hour because I like Dr. Drew.
That's right.
But I don't want to hear about like you said, that band I've never heard about. They're like teenagers.
Yes.
I know like Howard's the greatest interviewer I think ever, but I still like that says a lot. Like I still don't want to hear.
I can tell you.
I love the other aspects of the show. I like everything else, all the other parts of it. And I know that the 30 Seconds to Mars or whatever the fuck their name is, they're not going to be like a part of the show. They're not going to be like. There's not going to be a callback to that. So I don't know. I just like the aspect of the show where it's just like all kind of involved and it kind of comes back around.
It's the greatest. It's the greatest office sitcom of all time.
Yes. Yeah. So I would much rather hear like, Sal and Richard playing with their cocks for an hour.
Painting. I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
Painting.
Yeah, painting.
So you're excited for Cocktober, I take it?
I am. I think I'm going to call in tomorrow and ask if I can send Robin a dick pic for Cocktober.
So
my last name is Shitcock, so I think I should.
I was going to say, it needs to be a Shitcocktober.
So are you the type of fan that wakes up 7 a.m. and listens live every single show?
No, well, I'm on the West Coast, so
4 a.m.
It's really hard for me to wake up at that time. But like I usually get up I work at 8 in the morning. And I'll usually wake up at like 6:30, and I'll just turn on the show.
Get the news. Then the after show.
Yeah, sometimes there'll be a guest or there'll be like the last segment. But then if I just happen to be awake and I want to call in, I'll call in. But I haven't. Since they changed the time, it was a lot easier for me before because it would be 3 a.m. and I would just like stay up late and then go to sleep right after.
Oh wow!
And how often do you call in?
It's hard having. I haven't called in for a long time. It's been like 6 months maybe. I don't know. Eric and I called in a couple months ago, but I think I'm going to call in this week for October because I think
it's fully appropriate for you to do so.
There's been
Drew
more.
And Susan, how are we doing on getting High Pitch on?
Susan is pacing around. Here she comes.
Yeah, I'm having problems. It's been a long day. I'm activating my FaceTime because I don't usually use it, so I'm waiting for that, and I will get as soon as I can.
Oh, you have to okay it on your computer.
Well, if you could just text him and say to open up his email and click on it, then he can call us.
All right, she's trying to say.
I would pay a lot of money to have it.
FaceTiming me again, right?
Tell him to accept the Zoom email and click on it, and we'll put him on.
He must be stewing.
But he has to he has to download the app too.
There he is. Hey, High Pitch.
Mrs. Pinsky sent you the link for the Zoom.
He needs the Zoom app though too.
Yeah, download zoom.us.
Put it on your computer, the Zoom app.
What did you say to me?
We say nothing but good things to you.
What are you talking about?
What did you say about me?
I said a lot about you. Just go, Eric. Go on the Zoom app. Add the Zoom link, and then you can be connected. So you can conference call with us. All right.
Just tell me what you said.
I said you're my best friend. Go on the Zoom app.
What else?
Eric, you're fucking up the interview right now, Eric. Yeah, he hung up. He's upset. He thinks that I'm like gonna talk shit about him.
He's very wrong about that. But you're also wrong about the fact though that he's fucking up the interview. He's making the interview with that FaceTime. Trust me. Well, it's hysterical.
But he's very upset with like the Joey interview too. Like I got a bunch of like that's why he sent me so many.
What was he upset about? What upset about that?
I mean, non-talking.
We were pretty.
He didn't like how
pretty nice. But go ahead. What else?
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Drew. I thought that Jolie was, she's never said anything. She didn't say anything in the interview that she hasn't said before, like next to him.
Yeah.
But I guess Eric was upset about, people talked to Eric and like they rile him up. So they were saying like the fact that she said that he had sociopathic tendencies.
Oh,
that really upset him.
Yeah.
And the thing about if Eric passed away, no one would claim his body. That really pissed him off.
But that was just sad.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know.
Well,
so,
I think
that's another thing too, Drew. I was supposed to say Eric has 4 or 5 people in the Tri-State area.
Well, Gonzo's one of them, I think.
Yeah. Well, I'm in California, so.
And to be fair, Ami's probably another one.
Ami?
No.
No. I do it.
Wait, I mean, are you in New York? I mean, or are you
I'm in New York.
LA?
I'm in New York. No, I'm in New York. I grew up in LA, but I live in New York.
Oh, okay.
But no, I would be proud to pick up.
That's what
High
I thought.
Pitch's body.
See, I thought so. You have a bit of an
I'd bring
ordeal.
it right to the Howard Stern show. Right to the Howard Stern show.
I'll let Eric know.
All right. So, have we gotten through most of the things that we need to go through in terms of setting us straight, representing, having Eric's representative represent him so he feels good about things?
Yes, that's right.
Now, but I am curious as to whether or not after this show airs, whether or not those people around High Pitch are going to get buzz in his ear about what you said about him tonight. I mean, there's nothing you said that was negative, but I have to imagine they're going to get him riled up.
Eric has a lot of hangers on that just tell him, like Jolie's. I've met Jolie several times, and she's the sweetest person ever. Like she treats Eric so nice.
Yeah,
she's so patient with him.
Yeah,
and these people, like, they get in Eric's ear and they're like, "Oh, she called you a sociopath." Like, that's what they're telling him. And like, if you're Eric's friend, you're not going to tell him like someone's calling you a sociopath. Like, let Eric listen to the interview, and then if he feels like he's upset about something, I don't know. They just want to start shit. So I'm sure that they'll probably bring up some things like, "Oh, Gonzo said this and that about you, Eric."
And to be fair, it's just two clinicians kind of talking about terminology. I mean, she's a nurse, I'm a doctor.
That's what it. Yeah, that's what.
And we were just talking about his manipulativeness. Same stuff you were just talking about, but we were giving it a name. That's all. We were like, "What does that come? Wonder what that is?" It's kind of this sociopathic quality. It's okay. That's not neither here nor there. It's just a description.
Doug, Drew, can I ask you? I saw on Twitter that you guys interviewed Jeff the Drunk already.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
When is that going to come up next week?
Susan, when is that coming up? Do you know? She's not telling.
I've been waiting.
It's a good one. I think it will be next week.
He hates me, by the way. He's
not fans of ours either anymore.
He hung up on us.
Yeah. He hung up on us.
But the one thing, Gonzo, I'm finding with pretty much, I'm interested in talking to Whack Pack adjacent people because I'm interested in how people are perceived by other people outside of the Howard Stern world. It sort of flushes them out a little bit. But the one thing I'm finding from speaking to them directly is a lot of them seem to have a lot of brain stuff, like head injuries, and there's a lot of brain issue in everybody's got a neurological problem. I'm dying to talk to Bigfoot, see what that is, because oh my god, it's so cool.
Yeah, I love Bigfoot's my number 2 on Mount Rushmore.
Do you think we can actually have a real conversation with him that'll be intelligible?
Well, I think so.
Yeah.
The two things will be able to engage. Can we engage him long enough? And two, he seems to be developing a hearing problem. Whether he'll be able to hear us.
What?
So I mean, he's at that age where you get sensory neural hearing loss. And, but we can get a campaign to get hearing aids for Bigfoot.
Yeah, Bigfoot doesn't like me either.
Why?
I prank called him. He was like on some podcast one time, and then I found out about it, and I kept calling him. It's like the mailman that shoved a finger up his ass.
The mailman.
I called him. It was like 14 different people, and he got.
Guys, are you interested in because you're pretty good on air, and you're developing sort of I think a broadcast quality to your shows. Do you think you want to make this a full-time job? Like, or do you want to kind of just be a part-time job?
No. I just like doing it for fun. I do the since Joey. So just to kind of go back, Joey Boots and I did the Joey Boots podcast for like 2 years. Then Joey passed away, and then I was kind of like, I'm just going to take a break, and I don't really want to do a show for a while. And then Eric went on Howard, like right after Joey died, and he said that basically he and I decided to do a show in Joey's honor, which he didn't discuss with me at all. But I was like, you know what? Like, yeah, I can do a show with Eric. That would be fun. So then Eric and I kind of did a podcast for like 4 weeks, and then Eric quit because the people in the chat room were being mean to him. And then, so then I started doing it by myself. So now I do it by myself. And then I'll have like Ask Napkin Ed co-host sometimes, and then other times there'll be other people. But but I like it. It's just for fun. I don't think.
Are you able to make money out of it?
We get like donations and stuff, but I kind of feel like kind of dirty asking for donations.
Yeah,
for
it's a
such
weird
shitty podcast. So yeah,
That's
so
the
like
world-
the guy that runs
that's the world we live in. You should, this is.
I know, but
you should not feel dirty about it, because if people want the content, this is the way they get it.
But there's like 3 people wanting the content. I mean, I'm not going to ask those 3 people that are kind enough to listen to the show every week.
I don't agree. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think they can always say no, and I think that people.
Well, that's because
listen,
I just go back because I don't put enough into it to ask for donations. I think if I put more into my,
it's like an hour and a half podcast. What are you talking about? It's a long podcast.
It's a 2-hour.
2-hour podcast.
2 hours a week, though.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's Drew. Dr. Drew is a podcast expert. 2 hours is a lot of time to put into a podcast every week.
Yeah, I mean it's a real podcast.
Yeah, I would like my goal is to get advertisers for the show. Like, I don't want to get donations, but there are a couple there's a couple fans that will just send a couple $100 here and there.
That's nice.
Which is very nice. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, it's very generous.
Susan,
Absolutely.
how is the Eric?
I'm failing miserably. I can't get FaceTime. I can't get it to go
You
through
just
to
called me
his.
again.
Just get on the phone with him right now and tell him.
Okay, so Mrs. Pinsky said to go in your email, and she has a link to the Zoom.
I'm on there. I made a name.
Click on the email, because that's how you guys were able to get on. Tell him to click on the email I sent him.
Hold on, let me see.
Let me invite him again.
Eric, get your shit together. How
It's okay. No hurry.
what's wrong with you?
No
Click
hurry.
on the link.
I did, but there was no attachment.
The link is inside of the email, Eric.
There's a link
It's
inside.
inside the computer.
Send it again, Susan.
Eric, I can't hold your hand through life.
I
You're gonna
will
have to figure
reiterate my
No,
suggestion. that we do
it's
this another
not
time.
easy. We've done this.
Talking. How do I do it?
He has to
I
download.
just click on you have to download Zoom. So download Zoom and then click on the link.
There's no way to download it with the email you sent me.
No, go to Zoom.
No, there's a link
Okay,
in there, stupid. Just
tell
look
him
at
to-
the email.
Is there a
Has
link
a
to download it?
For the record, I don't think you're stupid, High Pitch.
For the record, this is the most entertaining thing of the last hour.
Wait, what, Eric?
I love
And
it.
I did it.
All right, then open it up. That's all you. That's
Okay, so
I'm going to do it to myself just to see how it works.
I was talking to me.
how come everybody else was able to do this easily and you're having problems? Just click on the link. There's a link inside of the email that Susan Pinsky sent you.
Maybe he is right about it. Maybe he is right about his IQ.
I was thinking that.
You have to download the app.
Eric, Dr. Drew said you're retarded.
I'll give it
I
to
did
you.
not say that.
I'll give
I did not
it.
say
Okay,
that.
here's the meeting ID number.
Oh yeah, the meeting ID number. Okay, yeah.
Okay, it is 891-367-7792.
Okay, now I'm going to hit join, okay?
See if it works.
Okay.
I always have another meeting in progress.
Okay, go back to the email and then click on the email, and you should be able to get in.
Yeah, just go back to the email.
In his
You're almost
defense,
done.
it actually is a little bit confusing.
Oh, hey.
There we go.
See you, Eric.
I see
There
See
it
you.
is.
So why don't we'll jump in? Hey, High Pitch, you really wanted to get on this call. You had some things you wanted to say. The floor is yours, my friend.
Well, first of all, Gonzo, I want to know what was said tonight. And please be honest.
Well, you have to listen to the. I'm not going to give away the show's secrets or what we talked about. You have to listen to the show. Podcast.
Please, give me some of the stuff that you said.
We
Well,
talked about.
High Pitch, let me tell you what we didn't talk about. We didn't talk about any of the things you specifically called me and Gonzo about not to talk about. You said there were things you did not want to have discussed, and
Right.
we respected what you said and did not discuss any of those things.
In fact, I asked if there was if we could even see the list, and they said nope, nothing. Don't know anything
Right. We
about
didn't
it.
get. We don't. The audience really doesn't even know what you told us not to speak about because we wanted it to. We had respect for your privacy.
Okay, now, did you ask Gonzo why he killed Eric the Midget?
Why Gonzo killed Eric?
What are you talking about?
See, if Eric's trying to troll me right now. He's trying to be cool.
But people said Gonzo killed Eric the actor.
We did talk about that. We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, he admitted to it. So I then immediately called the authorities, and Gonzo, they may be in fact coming to your place.
Yeah, I'm
But
ready.
anyway, I just want to let you guys know, November 10th, I'll get on surgery November 10th.
The gastric bypass.
Yeah, we're all concerned about that. So, do the doctors feel confident this will be successful?
Yes, they do.
Are you having a rule on why?
What do you mean?
Do you know which procedure you're having? There's a bunch of them.
Yes, the gastric sleeve.
The sleeve. Okay, the sleeve. Interesting.
Yes.
All right, good.
Drew, is that safe for Eric at his weight to have that surgery?
I mean, they like people to get down a certain point, and there's different surgeries have different kinds of success and different sorts of complications. I think the one thing to remember when you have surgeries is that it's usually not just one thing. It's usually one thing, and then there's another thing, and there's complications here. But you know, all of it is sort of. There was some new data that came out even last week that showed that whatever issues that people get into as a result of the surgery, it's still worth it from the standpoint of their health and well-being long term.
Yeah, a lot of people were telling me that they were worried about Eric's surgery, but I'm happy. Like,
It's
Eric's age. Eric's no spring chicken.
It's not without risk. It's a real surgery.
It's possible he can eat his way through it. Correct?
No,
He can blow it out.
you can. People can learn to get past it, but for the most part, these things tend to work at least to some extent. And you know, he's got some metabolic issues he's got to deal with.
Like for instance, Gonzo and Jolie are coming to New York for the surgery.
It's great. When is it?
November 10th.
10th.
And of course, Shuli will be there as well. Correct?
I don't know if he'll be here.
Okay. My understanding
Because I know he's got to travel, he's got to do shows, so I don't know what his schedule is either.
if he's not doing it, I will volunteer for the guys in the back office to do it in his stead.
And I imagine you're in the hospital 4 or 5 days, such as it is, right?
They said anywhere between 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
But they need to monitor me after my surgery.
Yes, they do.
Hey, High Pitch. So listen, we are all generally concerned. I mean, I hope that when we had you on and we interviewed you and we had Jolie and we had Gonzo, I hope it came across to you that we are genuinely concerned about you, both Drew and I, and we have your best interest at heart, and we're concerned sometimes for you. And I hope that comes across, that we're not looking to be mean-spirited. We're not looking to be a troll. I hope you understand that.
Right. Now, let me ask a question. I had a conversation with Gonzo Friday.
Okay.
And we were saying how Ralphie May died of a heart attack at the age of 45.
Yeah.
The comedian.
Yeah.
And I'm 46.
Yeah.
And you're heavier than Ralphie May.
We don't. To be fair, I don't know what Ralphie May was a friend of mine, and this one really, I love Ralphie May. He was the greatest guy ever. And Ralphie May had a lot of medical stuff going on, so I've not heard final cause of death yet. So
I heard it was cardiac arrest.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything. When you hear that in the news, it means nothing. It means cardiac arrest and death are the same word. His heart stopped. Okay, got it.
Yeah, but what happened with Tom Petty? Look how skinny he was.
We don't know. You got to get the final cause of death on these guys. We don't. All the press ever says is he died. His heart stopped. Cardiac arrest means stop. Cardiac heart stopped.
Yeah.
Why it stopped?
I think Dr. Drew would agree. Eric said eating 7-Eleven pizza is the best.
No, you mean pizzas.
No, we interviewed you, Eric, about this. You had smoked for a while too, cigarettes or something, right? Didn't you?
He still does. He smokes cigars.
Yeah, well, cigars, right. But it doesn't worry me as quite as much as cigarettes. So I mean, the cigarettes, tobacco is worrisome, right? We talked about this. The weight is an issue. The eating is an issue. Do you know what your cholesterol is?
Well, my cholesterol is controlled.
All right.
So
good.
I take medication for that.
All right, good.
So once I get the surgery, I'm going to be working out. I'm going to be on a very strict liquid diet and vitamins for the rest of my life.
And we got to get you off the pain meds too, man. That makes it impossible.
Ixnay on the discussion of the pain meds may.
All right. Done.
Yeah, that was a bull.
That's fine. It's just to me.
Nobody understood that.
To me, it's just matter of fact stuff. It's just a part of attending to your health.
High Pitch. I'm curious that so when a guy like Ralphie May dies, and as you pointed out, he died at 45. You're 46. Do you ponder your mortality when you hear that kind of story?
I do, because me and Gonzo spoke about it, and Gonzo said, you're getting your surgery on November 10th, and you're going to be healthier after you get your surgery. And, so I'm going to be living a healthier lifestyle after my surgery.
But it seems like we've heard you say those words before. And again, I say this out of love and
Peace
I'm
and love.
worried. That you have said before that I remember we went on that Mediterranean pita diet where you were promoting that pita place and they were going to feed you food and it was all very healthy, which it is. And time again, you've talked about how you're trying to cut down on your soda. Yet whenever you come back to the Stern Show, you're as big as ever.
Well, to be fair, Ami, the operation's a different maneuver. It really is.
No, I understand, but you still have to keep to it. Like he mentioned, he's going to have some kind of diet involved in it.
Yeah, but he may not be able to do anything but that diet. That's the point. That's sort of the way it works.
That he won't be hungry to eat the other stuff.
He won't be able to tolerate it.
I can only eat a tiny bit, and that's it.
Yeah.
And by the way, Dr. Drew, you noticed I used the words ponder and mortality in that conversation?
Yes. Well done.
But the reason I overate myself because after what happened to Joey, I was in a depressed mood.
Which makes sense.
And you know
except
what?
Except that you did it before, too.
One thing we did talk about, you were anxious to hear what we talked about in your absence before you got in here last time we talked to Gonzo. And I still want to hear more about Gonzo, by the way. I still want to, and there's a lot about Gonzo I'm interested in, too, here. But the one thing that Gonzo related to us is that I guess that losing Joey was a much bigger deal than you really kind of let on the air. And it was really a very painful, sad experience for you.
Well, yeah, it was on a Friday night, December 23rd. Me and Gonzo. Gonzo, who else was on the show with us?
I think just that guy Chad, and then another caller, I think.
Yeah, and they told me to check on him. But they were trying to call his phone.
Yeah.
Then I went up to his room, knocked on his door, and called his name through the door. And there's no answer. And usually, he takes naps. He's usually in a deep, deep nap. Or maybe he was out, And the night before, he went out to a party the night before. Remember that, Gonzo?
Yes.
So I asked the building manager, hey, me and my friends are trying to call Joey, and he's not answering his phone. I knocked on his door, he's not answering. And she said, well, maybe he went out. And I said, no, he's supposed to be home. So she went upstairs and opened his door, and I thought he would be laying in his bed, but he wasn't. He was slumped over in his chair. So he was cold and he had no pulse.
Yeah.
That's what 911 is called. The fire department was the first to respond to the scene. And that's when I told Gonzo, he's not here, he's gone.
Well, I heard that they played that on the air. And is that a traumatic event that you play in your head over and over again? That whole experience?
I said to Gonzo, end the fucking show right now.
Yeah, that is something you will, obviously you're never, ever going to forget. And it's something which can have a lot of trauma. And a lot of it is based on, and I'm probably speaking out of turn since we have Dr. Drew on the line here, but I would assume, Dr. Drew, that trauma can lead to some destructive behavior.
Well, right. You have unregulated emotion that you try to regulate by other means. Pills, food, this is what people do, sex, other stuff. That's what they try to get away from it. But yeah, Eric, did you have any idea that he was on all those opiates?
No, I did not.
Yeah, that's.
Do you ever feel any responsibility? And not saying you should, but I think it would be natural to say, God, I should have known. I wish I had known. I could have done something. Do you ever have those thoughts kind of creep into your head?
Yes, I said to myself, I wish I had known what he was doing, and if I did, I would have stopped him.
It's hard to do that. I mean, again, I know we're not supposed to octave about the Popietes Ose,
I don't know what you just said. Gibberish. What does that mean?
But that's why I brought it up for you, Eric, is that a concern for your health? That's all. That's my only.
And, in 2 months will be the anniversary of his passing.
It's only been 2 months?
No, it'll have been a year.
Oh, year. Oh,
2 years.
2 months. Be a year. I'm sorry.
1 year or 2 years?
I'm the one.
A year, yeah, a year. Now, are you, Eric? Are you upset with Gonzo about anything else? Because I think he was. We called him your representative, your ombudsman. He was there representing you. He took that responsibility very seriously
and did a good job. I think representing your interests.
He did a
Yes,
very
I
good
didn't
job.
say anything disparaging, Eric.
He
even
didn't-
though Eric might listen back and find something.
He said,
I told him when he comes to the hospital for my surgery, don't what did I say? Don't bring no Pop-Tarts.
he didn't bring up Pop-Tarts.
Yeah, no Pop-Tarts.
Don't bring no cookies. Don't bring no cake.
Is that your usual
What else?
go-to, Gonzo? You bring gifts usually?
No, I don't like Pop-Tarts or cake.
All right, you don't bring gifts. You don't contribute to the problem.
No.
So getting back to you being upset with Gonzo, I think it's indicative of sometimes your behavior pattern in that here's a guy, Gonzo, who, by the way, if you remember when I approached you to come on this podcast, you referred me to Gonzo, and Gonzo, in fact, he and I went back and forth. He wanted to make sure that I wasn't out to troll you, that I was a real person, this was a real thing. He had your best interest at heart. When he came on the show, he did the same thing. In fact, the first thing we started talking about was essentially talking about the issues he had with our podcast, with Jolie's podcast, with your podcast with us, to say, hey, this is not fair. I want to set the record straight here. He really was somebody advocating for you, yet...
Wait. I mean, not only was he advocating, when Eric was getting anxious and calling him repeatedly, he was in the midst of describing Eric as lovable. Those were the words.
That's right. That's exactly right. And all you do is undermine that with a typically nasty attack dog email with threats. High Pitch, why do you do that? This is a guy who's looking out for you. Why would you attack him? Why would you threaten him? Tell me why.
Because he attacks me when I don't do his show.
No, I don't.
Come on.
I don't attack you. Eric, I said if you don't want to do the show, don't do the show.
How does he attack you? High Pitch, how does he attack you? What does he do?
Okay, like let's say if I don't want to do his show, he calls me when I don't want to do his show.
Because he picks up on me and it's hilarious. That's why I call you.
That's not attacking you. It's getting
funnier. It's more funny to have you on the show when you don't want to be on the show. Why would I call you?
I don't want to be on the show.
But that's what's funny, Eric, because you don't want to be on the show.
Right, but you also don't have to pick up. You know he's on the air. Why do you pick up? Why do you play into it?
Because he wants to be on the show, Ami.
Gonzo, that's exactly right. High Pitch. You want to be on the show. And by the way, there's a reason why I can't speak for Dr. Drew. There's a reason why I do this stuff. I like doing it. I like to be on the show. I like to be the center of attention. You're the same way, High Pitch, right?
Well, I like to sleep on Friday nights before my show.
Yeah, I like to sleep as well.
Because my favorite show is on Friday nights.
Yeah, but Eric, the show airs 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. On Friday.
No.
Those aren't times where you're supposed to be asleep.
I need my nap before my show.
People don't nap from 8 to 10 on Friday.
Hey, Eric, do you have sleep apnea? Do you sleep apnea gear?
He does.
Yeah.
Are you wearing it?
You know what happened? I was sleeping, and I have these webcams.
Yeah.
My friend Kitty pointed out when I was sleeping.
Wait, what? Why are you mentioning her name?
No, I was letting you know what happened.
Can I talk about Kitty? Eric's mentioned her.
I was sleeping, and like on Friday or last week, I was sleeping. I turned over on my back.
Yeah.
And I stopped breathing in my sleep because I don't sleep with my machine on.
Yeah, you got to have that machine on. That's why you're so sleepy during the day, because you're having apnea during the night. Who is this person we're talking about, Gonzo?
Eric's I can't talk about her, but he brought her up.
Who is she, Eric? Who is this woman?
She runs the cameras.
She's an asshole, Dr. Drew.
Fuck you.
She doesn't get along with Gonzo? Whoever she is doesn't get along with Gonzo, I guess.
No, she
She attacked Jolie after the interview with that you did.
She produces my.
She's an asshole. She's a fame one. She just follows Eric around with a camera, and then she gets mad that Jolie did an interview with you, and then like said all kinds of crazy things, and then she was like telling Eric to give me rules about the interview with you.
Can we interview her, Eric, and see what she's all about?
What?
Can we interview her and see what she's all about?
Yeah, we want her. We'll get her side of the story.
Yeah, let's finish this half.
I didn't know if she wants to, but
of course she wants to. That's all. That's the only reason. Eric, you're being stupid.
Listen, she controls my cameras and my on my YouTube channel, and like I was sleeping, and like I don't like to sleep on my sleep apnea machine.
Yeah,
because it's so uncomfortable.
I understand, but you won't. When you lose the weight, you won't need that anymore. That's the great news. That will get a lot better. Believe me.
Like usually, the last time I worked was like 4 months ago. I woke up at 3 a.m. to use the bathroom. I said, this fucking machine sucks.
Okay.
I threw the mask on the floor.
I know.
Drew, isn't there like a smaller machine you could put?
There are. They do have other things, but they're not cheap, and you have to get them cut. It's a whole ordeal.
Money's no object.
Yeah.
Sometimes your insurance doesn't cover.
No, I know. It's an a bit of an ordeal to deal with the sleep apnea equipment. All right, we're getting the wrap it up sign from my producer.
What? Hey, what?
I know. I could go on all day with these two. Trust me.
Honey, no, don't wrap it up.
Don't wrap it up. Don't wrap it up.
I think we should have Kitty on, and for the second half of this podcast, bring her on with you, Eric and Gonzo, in the next.
Can I go on with this Kitty chick? Because she's an ass.
No. Let's leave. Let's talk about it.
Well, here's what I think we should do: is get her on, get her side, and then later.
She's a bully. She's a bully. She's like bullying Jolie and like.
All right. Well, let's sort of poke at her, and then we'll see what the two of you together maybe do.
You know what? Drew's a bully to me too.
Yeah.
Now, let's get all out of
Eric,
it.
I'm sorry for talking about Eric.
You see the things he says to me when we're off the air.
What do I say to you?
Eric,
He's such a dick. You should see him.
She's not a bully.
All right, Eric, you can't be mad at me because you're the one who brought her up. I wasn't going to bring her up. I didn't bring her up. So.
No, because we were talking about my sleep apnea, and I want to let them know what happened.
It has nothing to do with your sleep apnea.
And we want you to come back because we want to know more about your surgery, and we'll come cheer you on in New York as well.
All right. I'm going to wrap it all up.
I'm going to be in New York. I'll come bring you flowers.
Can you come to New York for my surgery?
I'm going to be there a week before, but my wife may be there, and I can send her in, with some flowers or something. So.
I want flowers, balloons, cards.
Yes, of course.
Gift cards.
We can get you
an iPad.
Any combinations?
A car. Refrigerator.
This is what I love about High Pitch. Yeah, this is what I love about him.
I'll let you buy
I need an iPad. Can someone give me an iPad so I can be online?
Let's get a fundraising thing going for.
We'll loan him one. How about that?
Oh, there you
go. And one last question before we wrap this up, and then and hopefully we'll pick this up later. But High Pitch, are you at all worried that when you get this surgery and you are reduced to whatever weight you are, that will take away from the essential essence of who High Pitch is? Do you think that will change you, affect who you are, affect kind of what you do? Do you think that will change anything?
No, because I'll always be High Pitch with my voice.
Yeah,
that's
true.
I'll always be who I am.
Okay, so with that, I think that was poetically said.
So, Dr. Drew, can you give me an iPad for my surgery?
Mrs. Pinsky is the keeper of the gate. Let's work on her. We'll see what she can pull
and by the way, Dr. Drew, can I have an iPad also?
Sure. Gonzo, you need one?
Oh, seriously, I need something. Something to keep me busy at the hospital.
I might have a spare one in my house in New York.
You just got suckered into it.
You got Eric. You got high pitched.
It's a backup.
You got high pitched. You got high pitched.
Gonzo, bring Dr. Drew's wife to the hospital.
All right. As Eric's representative, Mrs. Pinsky, I'm going to have to find that iPad for her.
All right. With that, I'm going to wrap this evening up.
Okay. So this was again a scintillating Howard Vortex, where we did get into the mind, this time of not only Gonzo Shitcock, but again into the mind of the great High Pitch Erik. And we appreciate you both coming on. Hopefully we're going to actually do this again. Possibly we'll have this elusive Kitty on the show, and we'll get to the bottom of exactly what's happening and the drama surrounding High Pitch Erik. Good night, everybody, and it was a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
This is the Howard Vortex with Dr. Drew and Army Horowitz.